All right, good evening, everybody. It's about 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, January 26th. So let's do a daily hawk. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the news today. And I'm going to recap a little bit of it here for you. If you like this video, please subscribe to my page, click like, leave a comment, even if it's, full of misspellings, because that's how the rest of us identify Trump supporters in the comments. Okay, thank you. Bill Gates was quoted by the Daily Beast today saying it's really insane that he can destabilize the political situation in countries. I mean, this is insane shit. He was talking about Elon Musk supporting far-right political parties in Germany and the United Kingdom. Yeah, Elon, Jesus, we're going to have to do something about Elon, I think, at some point. Donald Trump demands the arrests of even more immigrants. They've been averaging 400 or 500 a day. I think Donald Trump wants that to go up to 1,500. The order significantly increases the chance that ICE officers will engage in more indiscriminate enforcement tactics and face accusations of civil rights violations as they strain to meet quotas. Okay, a lot of shit happened with the country of Colombia today. They said they were refusing to accept flights from the United States full of undocumented immigrants. Then Donald Trump said, I'm going to impose 25% tariffs on all Colombian goods, which I think primarily consists of coffee. We don't make that here. We don't grow it here. And cut flowers, like for floral shops, which, 2.5 weeks from now is Valentine's Day, so that could be bad. And then I saw a report that Colombia caved, their president caved and said he would agree to accept the flights, but then I saw he also was going to impose 50% tariffs on American goods flying in to Colombia. And so, but the important thing about all of this today, it's just two guys talking. That's it. Nothing actually happened today. It's just two guys sparring back and forth with one another in the news. That's all. Nothing has actually happened yet. However, and I just did a TikTok on this, watch for American corporations to raise prices on flowers and coffee anyway, because they got to get ready. We got to get ready for the tariffs. We have to prepare. Remember, all through December, leading up to Christmas, all of these American companies were raising their prices, saying we were preparing for the tariffs. I don't think Donald Trump has implemented any of them yet. Maybe like 10% on China or something, but certainly not the scope or the scale that he's talked about. But American corporations will never miss an opportunity to completely screw the American consumer by raising their prices. And if the tariffs don't get implemented, are those companies going to lower their prices? Doubtful. Yeah. So Donald Trump has made very clear during his first week, which just ended today, that retribution is something that is going to be very, very much on his mind. He's yanking security details for people he doesn't like. He is yanking security clearances for former intelligence community people who he does not like, and any number of these kinds of things. And we'll talk in a second. He's firing federal workers left and right. DEI and whatnot. And so he is doing things that authoritarian leaders do, like pardoning all of the January 6ers. He came back into office and he pardoned all of these people who were violent on his behalf. And this is more of that. It's going to be interesting to see once Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are sworn in as the head of the DOJ and the FBI. I mean, Kash Patel had an enemies list. He published it in his book, Government Gangsters. He published it in a book. So we'll see what happens with that. But Trump has very strongly indicated that he's not going to shy away from that stuff during his first week. The DOJ itself, there's an acting attorney general right now. I'm assuming Pam Bondi's going to be confirmed sometime in this upcoming week. But they've started implementing all kinds of changes, reassigning personnel, demoting people left and right. It's a very hard rightward shift. People are also career DOJ staffers and prosecutors are quitting in droves. Donald Trump has said that he is going to fire all 93 U.S. attorneys and replace them, which isn't unprecedented, although I don't know if that's actually occurred yet. So lots of stuff to keep an eye on at the DOJ. And then once Kash Patel gets in at the FBI, we're going to be off to the races, and it's going to be a fucking mess. Yeah. So the White House is, anytime there's a new administration coming in, they get flooded with job applications. The White House is intensely screening people who are seeking to work in the second Trump administration. They're checking their social media, they're checking their political contributions, they're checking their politics. They're going over all of this stuff with a fine-tooth comb, because the number one favored characteristic in executive branch employees now is loyalty to Donald Trump, including over loyalty to the Constitution of the United States or loyalty to the United States. So we're gonna have a government staffed by people like Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon in as many places as Trump can put them, and I'm sure that is going to work just great. The White House is so up. We've already had a bunch of confirmation hearings. Some of his cabinet positions are starting to get confirmed over the last week. Pete Hegseth, what's her name? Kristi Noem from South Dakota, who 6 Democrats voted for. 6 Democrats voted to confirm Kristi Noem, including John Fetterman, Tim Kaine, Alyssa Slotkin, Gary Peters, both from Michigan. But in this upcoming week, we're going to have confirmation hearings for Kash Patel, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard. And it's not a gimme that those 3 are going to get confirmed. Mitch McConnell already voted against Pete Hegseth for Department of Defense, along with Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. All 3 of them are Republicans. J.D. Vance had to be pried away from his sofa to go over to the Senate on Friday night to cast a tie-breaking vote. These next 3, RFK Jr., there are Republicans in the Senate who are doctors, who are medical professionals, and they're going to vote for RFK Jr. There are hopefully some sane Republicans in the Senate who give a shit about our intelligence community. Clearly, they don't care about Department of Homeland Security. They just put Kristi Noem in front of that, in charge of that. So, but GOP is warning senators of consequences if they don't vote to confirm every single one of Trump's nominees. And I hope some of them just snap and say, you know what, fuck it. I'm not going to run for re-election, and I'm not confirming these clowns. But we'll see what happens. Donald Trump has suspended flights for 40,000 Afghan civilians who have been approved. They've already been approved for special U.S. visas under asylum claims, because they are very much at risk for abuse and retaliation from the Taliban. And just last week, Trump canceled the flights for, I think it was 16,000 Afghans coming into the United States, who were Afghanis and their families who had helped, who had assisted U.S. military during the Afghan war. So, no brown people from anywhere is the motto of the day, it would seem. Donald Trump's executive orders this time around, he signed over 100 of them on his first day, and he also revoked, I think it was something like 78 of Joe Biden's executive orders. And, I heard Amanda Carpenter on a podcast with Sarah Longwell from The Bulwark yesterday, and she made a really interesting point. It's like, Donald Trump is in his second term, but he didn't serve them consecutively. He served his first term, he had 4 years off, and now he's serving his second term. And he and his allies used those 4 years to learn about what they did wrong in their mind, and to prepare for a second term. and along with groups like the Heritage Foundation and these outside groups. And they're much more prepared. And, Donald Trump didn't write any of his executive orders. They were all written by other people. They were all written by people like Heritage Foundation and the folks who wrote Project 2025. And a lot of them are already being challenged in court. His birthright citizenship revocation has already been, there's an injunction against it for being wildly unconstitutional. That came out of a Seattle court on Thursday, I think. But again, it's like they're throwing everything at the wall, and we're just going to have to wait and see what sticks. And that's going to take a few weeks or months. So Trump removed the copy of the Constitution from the White House website. He took down the Spanish language version of the White House website. And now the DOJ had hosted a database, an exhaustive, extensive, and searchable database of all the January 6 rioters. And Donald Trump just took that down off of the DOJ's website, and it's not accessible anywhere else. He's trying to wipe that away and rewrite history. Republicans in the House have announced that they are going to have their own January 6th committee. Several of them wanted more than anything to subpoena Cassidy Hutchinson, who was the star witness of the last January 6th committee. And then a bunch of Republicans in the House and the Senate contacted Mike Johnson and said, yeah, you can't subpoena Cassidy Hutchinson. You can't do that because a whole bunch of us sent her really dirty, nasty sexual text messages seeking sexual favors from her. And she still has all of those. They are perverts. Every seemingly straight white guy who claims to be a Republican is a pervert. They just are. They're just all perverts. So, Trump said in a comment today that his plan is to, quote, clean out Gaza. It's like there's like 1.5 million people there. They need to go to Jordan. They need to go to Egypt. We need to clean out the Gaza Strip of Palestinians. So congratulations to all of you Jill Stein voters and Palestinian Americans and whoever else specifically voted for Donald Trump because of Gaza. Congratulations to you. Donald Trump is now providing the 2,000-pound bombs to the Israeli military that Joe Biden never would. And I'm not saying Joe Biden's conduct relative to the Gaza Strip was good in any way, shape, or form. It was absolutely horrific. And Donald Trump is going to be worse. He's given them 2,000-pound bombs, and he is now stating publicly as President of the United States, we need to clean out the Gaza Strip of Palestinians. Unbelievable, man. It's just unbelievable. Donald Trump's moves this week are touching off tremendous amounts of fear and confusion throughout the federal bureaucracy in the executive branch. He's ordered the suspension of a bunch of DEI related employees. Now he's ordering them to be fired. Workers are describing very dark mood inside federal agencies and departments. And then I guess it was Friday night, he fired like 16 or 17 inspectors general. And each department or agency has their own inspector general whose job it is. It's like basically being internal affairs for a police department. They were there to do investigations into corruption, things like that within these departments and agencies. And Donald Trump fired almost all of them, including several that he had appointed. Because who knows why? He said, well, some of them weren't doing their jobs. Oh, okay. Any evidence of that? No? Okay, fine. Yeah, there you go. I mean, what Donald Trump did in his first week was to create and sow chaos, confusion, disruption, anger, fear, anxiety. And from watching TikTok for the last week, he certainly got that done. Steve Bannon said it's working. It's just stunning what they're doing, meaning Trump, and it's not getting covered because it's too much. They're overwhelming the system. I think that's entirely accurate. Steve Bannon was the one who years and years ago said, you got to flood the zone with shit. Speaking of our media environment, flooding it with so much misinformation and disinformation that nobody knows what's true anymore and just gives up. And Donald Trump has done a version of that in his first week. He has just flooded the zone with so many executive orders and orders to do this and orders to do that, and statements like about Gaza. And it's just been a fire hose of shit for 7 days. And he has flooded the zone. It's overwhelmed our media, who still doesn't have any idea how to cover him. And he's effective in that way. So 2 days ago, John Ratcliffe was confirmed as Trump's pick for the head of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. And so, of course, yesterday, they changed the position, the official position of the CIA for the past 4 years relative to COVID is saying, we don't know if it came from a lab or if it came from one of those wet markets in China of animal to human transmission. And Donald Trump has always said it's a lab, it came from a lab, it came from a lab. Why do Republicans keep saying that? Because the Wuhan lab was doing work that was partially funded by the United States under the direction of Dr. Anthony Fauci. And Republicans and Trump and all the Gomer, mouth-breathing, anti-vax, anti-mask dipshits on the right are, to some degree more than others, utterly convinced that Anthony Fauci created COVID in a Chinese lab, unleashed it on the United States on purpose. And so now the CIA is saying it is our official position that COVID-19 pandemic was caused by a lab leak in China. So capitulating to Trump at every turn. Jared Kushner and the Trump Organization are working jointly to build a major luxury hotel in Serbia, uninhibited by any conflict of interests, as reported in the New York Times. Fuck these guys, man. And kind of circling back to that story that I was talking about, Trump and his allies are worried that there are Republicans who are not going to vote for these three upcoming nominees, RFK Jr., Kash Patel, and Tulsi Gabbard. Mitch McConnell sent Donald Trump a message on Friday night when he voted against Pete Hegseth. A couple things about this. One, it demonstrated a little bit that Mitch McConnell is willing to stand up to Donald Trump. It also demonstrated that Mitch McConnell standing up to Donald Trump had absolutely zero impact on the Senate Republican caucus. None. Mitch McConnell no longer has any influence with Senate Republicans at all. So good for him for voting that way, I guess. I hope he votes against these next three. They're the worst of the worst. We're already stuck with Kristi Noem at Homeland Security and Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, where, I'm sure there's going to come a time in the next month or two where he gets absolutely shit-faced drunk at work and then wants to take the Joint Chiefs to a strip club. So, watch out for that story. Anyway, another week starts tomorrow. So, I'll be here. Thank you for watching. And again, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my page. Please interact with the videos on my page. Give them likes, give them comments, and all of those things. Tell all your friends. I would appreciate that very much. And tomorrow's a new day. See you guys. Thanks for watching.